So, Pete, let's get into it. I know you've been doing some digging, the work. What do we got going on now here?
So we're going to do a dual kind of football basketball edition here because, again, I was over at the facility yesterday. We're going to debut. We had interviews with Trey Donaldson, Malik Renew, and Ernest Uday Jr. They're kind of looked at as the core guys, the veterans who came in and are coming from established situations. So great interviews with them. We'll debut the Malik one now in a minute. But we'll start with football. And D, I think a lot of times when we do our little kind of notebooks, you with the bank and then now me getting back into doing the work, we highlight under the radar guys, people who maybe are flying a bit to the people outside the building under the radar. And I'm still going to do a little bit of that, but I want to start with someone who there's a lot of expectations about in the building and is dominating the workouts this offseason. Jordan Lyle, absolute animal. I made a comment last year that he looked to me a bit like Willis McGahee, and I understand I was young. McGahee was 225, 230, but I don't know what Jordan Lyle's weighing now. He's not that heavy, but if he wanted to get that big, he could. He looks huge right now. People in the building are. We talk about him as having the deep speed, right? But he can run you over too. I think this is a guy who has the potential to be at the running back position to be a top 3 round pick in a couple years, right? So that's high praise at the running back spot. Look, Miami has had backs in recent years be drafted. Damian Martinez went probably a bit later than he expected and people in the building expected. But you've had even Travis Homers who have played multiple years, the DJ Dallases who were mid to late round picks. I think Jordan Lyle is on a different level than that.
By the way, you see him here. I heard Damian Martinez looking good in Seattle, by the way, as is Elijah Arroyo.
Yeah. And yeah, you see, I mean, these are some of the pictures here, but again, just, it's very tough to kind of label guys like running back one in today's era, the way that they are rotating so much. And we understand how big of a part of the offense Fletcher is going to be, but Jordan Lyle is going to be one of the best backs in the country this year. That's the expectation around the program right now. And yes, there's not a caveat. He's big, but he doesn't have that breakaway speed. It's not, because listen, there's been guys, Trayon Gray, for example, a guy who was a freak athlete, ran a 4.38 at pro day at like 220, 230, right? For whatever reason, it just never production-wise worked at Miami, right? There's guys like that. This is the total package at the running back spot.
Yeah, I believe he had the longest, speaking of Lyle now, the longest run in Miami history in that USF game. I'm pretty sure that was the longest run ever. I know it's USF. I know they were tired from getting beat up a lot, but that showed his speed, I think. And you see the size in the pictures. Backing up saying, how's his lateral agility? Good. I would say better than Martinez and Fletcher. I would say of those three, and probably throw Marty Brown in that mix too, the best, most laterally quick guy would be Jordan Lyle. He's the most just overall kind of guy, most complete. Burstone, smash that like button. Is free. Always appreciate you. Shout out to the villains. Albert saying Fletcher and Marty Brown are going to do the dirty work on the ground. Jordan's the explosive big play guy. Look, and he's big too, right? So it's all of them. Jake saying his super abilities, his contact balance. The kid is different in that aspect, something we've seen really since high school. I think the key for him is going to be his patience. Sometimes he does get a little excited and kind of run into contact and then spin off. And I get nervous because he's one of those guys, he's constantly spinning. Mike James was like this. Remember Mike James, Pete?
Yeah,
of
course.
He's like always spinning and dragging, and you're like, man, I hope he doesn't like twist his leg or get hurt. I know James and the pros ultimately got hurt, but that's the only thing that scares me with Fletcher is just his running style. He's so relentless that like he'll have a guy on his leg and he'll try to spin out and stretch for more yards, and sometimes he's got to have to just take the loss. But man, he's super talented. He's got the right mindset.
Yeah, so I just think I don't want to like down what they had last year, but I really think that they feel inside that building like they've upgraded
big time. What else was going on, Pete?
So I will. This to me is probably the most interesting nugget of what I'm gonna drop here, football wise, at least. Miami has not filled a spot on the staff, which was essentially assistant running backs coach, quality control. That was the guy underneath Coach Matt Merritt, Benedict Hippolyte, who is now the running backs coach over at FIU. Few of those guys, Coach Pata as the offensive line coach over there at FIU as well. So a few staffers that went over to FIU, Benedict Hippolyte being one of them as the running backs coach. That it's a spot that we've seen historically. Last year, Mario added a few guys to the staff like analysts this time of year, like at camp start. Devin Santana was a guy who was the D-line analyst last year, who's now the D-line coach at FAU. Kind of not that many people know that. This is a guy who was on staff last year as the D-line analyst, now the D-line position coach at FAU. So Mario's made late additions like this. And again, from what I understand, has not necessarily filled that. I don't know who was like with them during the spring, but I think there may be another permanent person coming in. We saw Duke Johnson was around last fall, right, for the start of camp. I don't know how far into the season he went, but he needs to bring someone in there. And someone that I am hearing and people are going to jump to conclusions when I say this, right? And say, well, this could either change things or it's a last ditch effort. However way you look at it, people will jump to the conclusions here. But someone that could potentially be in the mix for a position like this would be Cam Harris, former Canes running back, who is coaching running backs at Chaminade, Madonna. Of course, Derek Cooper goes there. So he's someone that, from what I understand, Mario's kind of asking around about, seeing kind of what people think about him in the coaching circles and here in South Florida. He's a guy who has been involved in youth football as well the last couple of years, but someone who wants to get into coaching. And I think it's funny because Benedict Hippolyte was actually his coach at Carroll City, so would be kind of following in those footsteps. But yeah, man, I think would be a great hire, and I think that's an interesting nugget considering the connection.
100%.
And not to cut you off, not to spark the fire here, but whatever happens with Derek Cooper in the next few days here, I think, as you've said, I don't know how smooth it's going to be, even if he commits to Miami now.
Yeah, it's a guy that we interviewed, I think, like the first time we went live on the video podcast. He was either a first or second interview. Great guy, great story, and he really was someone I thought was underrated at UM. He was great at breaking off big runs. If he would have stayed healthy, he had tore his ACL against North Carolina. I think he would have. It was nasty.
It was a nasty injury, man. It wasn't just ACL. It was like everything. It was a really bad one.
I think he would have had a shot with making the NFL if not for that, just because he had so much speed and he was a big guy. He could catch the ball a little bit. So you're really unfortunate, but he actually was a pretty good player. I remember the hype was all Lingard when we signed him and Lingard. He ended up being. It's funny. It was Lingard and him, and Lingard got more hype than he did. And then on his own team, it was Naquan Wright and him, and Naquan Wright got more hype. But really, of all those three, I thought the best player was Cam Harris.
Yeah, and it's funny because we talk about guys with game-breaking speed. He was one of the last backs to really have it at Miami.
100%. And
Chris Johnson had it, obviously, but we just didn't see it enough. He didn't get enough touches to really see it, I should say.
Aside from Duke, I don't like Duke and Lamar Miller. You go back to that. I can't think of the last running back who had more long runs than Cam. I gotta say, Pete, a lot of comments on your physique right now in the chat.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. I'm doing what I can. The weighted vest. I don't have it on right now, but Did a couple miles before the show this morning. That's why I was trying to plan out, man, because I was gonna go on a little bit of a longer walk, but we postponed it to later today.
A 50 Kane. If I was gay, Pete, I would be down there stalking you.
All right, let's we can stop the comments now.
Rashard Smith. Someone's saying Rashard Smith. He had one long run. Certainly had a lot of long runs for SMU last year, but for the Canes, I think the one that did it most,
Clemson game.
Yeah, the one that did most consistently for the Canes was Cam Harris, and then of course going back Duke and Lamar and all those guys. But yeah, man, the comments are going insane right now. Hilarious, man.
You guys are wild.
All right, what else we got on the work?
So let me pull my notes back up here. A few guys that we've mentioned recently, I've brought up recently, just kind of in passing, but I just really wanted to hammer the point home because I keep hearing them as legit players for this next season and like in the plans after this year as well. So we'll start with Ryan Rodriguez. I'm kind of comparing him to Markel Bell last year. I said it the other day where Markel Bell, we kept hearing, man, this guy's going to play. Mario said when he signed with Miami, this guy's going to play for us. And you don't hear Mario talk about offensive linemen like that. He's very, very picky and he's not going to crown anyone before they step on campus. But we said, how's it going to happen? How's it going to work? You have a group of 5, 6 guys, 7 guys, right? Because even last year, you're thinking a Tommy Kinsler may be ahead of him in that rotation. You're thinking a Samson might be ahead of him in that rotation. And this guy's it's a bit different in terms of, I think he's established more so than what Bell was coming in. But Ryan Rodriguez is going to play a lot this year. His ankle injury was really bad last year, man. I don't know how much you heard about it, D, but that was like a really messed up injury. And he was not really 100% until I want to say like springtime, right? So he fully healthy now is someone that the staff, I believe, wants to get in the mix there. And then I think it's going to be our starting center next year. I don't know that SJ is ready yet from a snapping standpoint. Long time away. He's as an athlete, incredibly quick first step. But if we look ahead to next year, I think that's when the trend of bringing in transfer centers for a year stops, and Ryan Rodriguez is your center.
Yeah, look, I mean, obviously you don't want anyone to get hurt, but the reality is,
I think this year he's the backup.
He's the backup center and he's the backup guard. So if there's a lot of ways this could go. So let's say, I don't know,
McCoy will start at 918. That's kind of what we're saying, though. He's gonna get in there somehow.
Yeah. Calder saying, was keeping Samson with us? Just curious. I'm grateful. I think, we've obviously paid a lot of money. We've Cristobal, Mirabal, huge fans of him. Mirabal is really a big proponent of Samson. He's already graduated, and I think he sees that next year he's going to be counted on to play a lot. If not this year. I mean, he's in the rotation this year, so there could be an injury and or someone just underperformance, or he just beat someone out in camp. So he's in the mix this year and certainly in line to start next year. So I think that's a big part of it, development, the fact that he sees Mauanoa getting what he wants, right, which is getting drafted high most likely. So he knows that the path is there with Mirabal. He's not going to get a better offensive line coach. So him and Tommy Kinsler coming back, I think, has really helped, because now you have 2 guys that can help you this year in the rotation. And then next year, when people leave, which could be Markel Bell and McCoy plus Francis plus Cooper, you have guys in there. And then this year, if Brockemeyer gets hurt, obviously Rodriguez goes there. If McCoy or Cooper gets hurt, I think Rodriguez slides in next there. If one of the tackles gets hurt, I would assume Samson or Kinsler takes over there, but it's possible you see a McCoy move over, and then Rodriguez goes to where McCoy is. So a lot of different ways you could see Rodriguez getting on the field.
Question there about Nino Francavilla from Martin Quinn. He's good, man. From what I've heard, he's a solid player, and I think he could play here down the line. There's just there's one center that plays, so it's a lot of competition that goes on there, and the guys who are generally, backups a lot of times have that versatility. I think he's a pure center.
Yeah, and the thing with him that I would stress is, you hear Harvard, you're thinking like undersized, kind of like overachiever type. He's got good tools. He's big. Like if you look at him at center, he's big out there, and he has good twitch and quickness. Like he probably could play guard potentially. He could be like what Rodriguez is now next year maybe. But he's somebody that is, sometimes you see these guys. I don't think of John Rochford, who I just talked about on the chat or on one of these reviewing the rankings, reviewing the recruiting class stories that I've done, and going through some of these old guys. And I think of guys like, there's a couple centers in there that the second you saw him, you're like, these guys are too small. They lack the tools. This guy's totally different. He has the tools. Now it's a matter of just continuing to get experience and get coached up.
So the next guy I want to talk about is Keontae Scott, man. I think the way that I don't want to make the comparison to the way that Cam Ward's walked in the building last year and acted like he owned the place, right? Because there was a lot of other transfers that came in before Scott did. And I think it's kind of already been established that it's going to be a different room this year than it was last year. But he has still walked in and made it known, look, I'm here to play, and I'm here to be a big part of what's happening. I think he's going to bring some serious juice to that nickel spot. That he's just someone that it's not even anything specific, like, oh man, what he's doing in workouts is crazy, but the expectation is that he will be one of the premier players on this defense this year. And I think he's a flash player in the sense that he could turn a game or two for you this year. He reminds me a bit of, he's a bigger version of him, but Marcus Jones at Houston, plays for the Patriots. A guy who is a two-way player in the NFL. At Houston was a dynamic return man as well. That's the sort of impact I think he could have on this team this year, D. Where, listen, he's not like a going to be a lockdown corner every down in, down out. He may give something up, but I could see him having a pick 6 or 2 this year.
Yeah, I was going to say with Marcus Jones, the fact that he's a top punt returner and then a very good slot corner, there's just a lot of similarities there. For those who don't know, Keontae Scott led the SEC in punt returns, not last year, the year before that, where he was also a really good nickel. Auburn, his coach left to Houston, now is at Miami, Coach Etheridge, and Auburn paid him a lot of money to not go to the draft where he had interest, and then moved to outside corner, which didn't work. He just didn't fit there. He didn't play well. He lost his confidence, just didn't work out. And look, he'll take responsibility for that. But going back to his traditional spot there and his natural spot at nickel, getting with his old coach, fresh start. The fans don't know anything about him. He's an older player. He's still perfectly healthy, 180 plus pounds, 4.4, 4.3 type speed. He ran a 10.9 in the 100 meters. Looks really fast on tape in the SEC. I mentioned returning all those punts. So I think that's going to be a very exciting player to watch.
Yeah, and you mentioned like the confidence lost. I think the phrase that I heard was that he got something like he got his swag back. Like he's acting like himself, so to speak. So yeah.
No, man. So fired up. And what else you got for us here? Anything else in the work?
Yeah, a couple more things here. Again, another guy that I've just mentioned, but keeps coming up in conversations that I'm having, is having a tremendous offseason, is Dylan Day. He's gained so much. He's gained a lot of weight. He's gained a lot of weight since he's been at Miami. You know what? Let me see. I think he actually posted pictures the other day. But tremendous kid. I mean, from what I understand, the new DB coaches have definitely taken a liking to him. Let me pull this up, but the added weight is going to help him tremendously. I think we could see the flashes on special teams, but I don't know if he was ready to play down in, down out last year, right? But I think you're gonna see a difference this year for sure.
Yeah, excited. I made the Sheldrick Redwine comp. I think that's where you could see. I remember Redwine first year, great special teams player. Then he started playing more on the defense and ultimately became one of the better safeties in America and ultimately a 4th round pick. So I see some comparisons there.
Here you go. Let me pull this up here. You see the length too. This is a big dude.
Oh yeah.
That's not a small safety. That's not a small safety.
And he can get his, he's got good ball skills. You see him in practice. He gets his hands on a lot of footballs. He's someone you notice him when he's out there. He's not just one of these guys that you see him line up and then you don't see him. He is around the ball. He's making plays.
I wouldn't say he's 210. I would say he's pretty close to 200, maybe a little bit over though. He's long too, so he's pretty tall.
Yeah.
So that weighs. But yeah, man, football wise, that's pretty much it. They've just been in workouts, but they're getting ready for camp here. That'll be, again, not going to give away the exact date, but last week of July here, things will get going. So we're like 10 plus days away.
Fired up, what else we got? Give it to us.
Basketball. So a lot of interesting stuff you know what? I said it was the most interesting note, but I'll say this is the most interesting note, and it's a basketball and football note. Okay. So we talked a lot about Trey Donaldson yesterday, who was our big time football recruit, was a high 4-star recruit, was committed to Auburn. Listen, he's a basketball player. He's all in on basketball. He's not have a future in football. He's all in as he's been a basketball player. But he did tell me, because there is a connection here, that Zach Etheridge was the coach at Auburn when he committed to Auburn. And Zach Etheridge did reach out to him when he got to the University of Miami. So that wasn't a complete, like, us taking a leap there. Zach Etheridge still thought, man, maybe I can get this guy to come play. But no, Trey he's all in on basketball. He said his dream has been, since he was a kid, to be an NBA player, and that's what he wants to do. He wants to pursue that, and I think he's in for a big season here. Was Michigan's starting point guard last year. They won the Big Ten championship, and I think he's going to take another leap in his game this year. So yeah, that was a pretty interesting note. He told me that yesterday when we were talking about football stuff before his interview.
Yeah, and Brandon's saying he's a Madrid fan too, right? Or clarify.
Yeah, well, so he was wearing a Madrid jersey, Brandon, and I told him right away. I said, "You got the right jersey on," and he says, "Nah, but I'm a Barcelona fan." And I gave him a hard time about it for sure. I told him it's not something you can do, man. You can't claim one side and wear the other. But no, we had some fun with it. He's got a good chip on his shoulder, man. He's got a different mentality at that point guard position, really what you want as a leader. And I don't want to call it a cockiness. I want to say he's got some brash confidence, right? Which at the point guard spot, you need someone who's willing to, he wants the ball in his hands. You don't want someone who, as the primary ball handler, is, scared when that moment comes. So just good interview with him, a great interview with him, and then good getting to know him a little bit outside of it and both of these guys. But very excited about him. He's got that football mentality still, man.
Yeah, man. No, I'm excited to see him play. I think we talked about it on the phone afterwards, just being in a lot of close games, which you could expect with this team, with the way they play defense, kind of that grinding style you expect. And you said the team looked like a football team when you were interviewing these guys yesterday.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, that wasn't even something I wrote down, but yes, generally this team they're big. I think they're going to be able to bully some teams on the defensive end of the floor and really suffocate teams and turn some of these games into slugfest. They may not always be the prettiest games, but I think they're going to really impose their will early, and I think take teams out of games mentally. A few other notes. Arturo Dean, not expecting him in this class, looking at him going to West Virginia unless something changes there, unless something on the West Virginia side changes, but not expecting it to be Miami. But I'm not counting out, from what I understand, another addition to this roster in the backcourt, potentially another player from the Euro ranks, right? Is it Europe? Is that a European country?
Not really.
No, it's not. But they're in Europe. They're in Europe in the soccer tournament, so that's what kind of threw me off a little bit. But
yeah, so that's a point of contention. I've talked to people from that nation, and that's a point of contention that they're put in the wrong division for soccer.
So I can't.
Makes it harder.
I don't want to disclose the nation just yet. To put people on a wild goose chase to see who this player is, because I don't have the name yet. Much like I didn't have the name of Timote Malovic before it happened, but I knew we were getting someone interesting there, and there could be another addition as a point guard to this roster. So before the season starts.
Yeah, man. So before we get into basketball stuff, Pete, you got any more anything left in the notepad here?
Well, yeah. More on basketball, or are we?
Well, before
done?
we get to the interview, I want to make sure.
Well, yeah. Dante Allen and Shelton Henderson. The buzz on them is massive. Those two are, coming in as freshmen, but Dante Allen is someone that I expect to be a pivotal part of this team as a scorer, right? We're looking for consistent scores, and I think he can be a real spark plug where he's not asked to do too much, but just go put the ball in the basket, right? You're gonna have a lot of guys who can defend, and I think he's a guy who can defend too. But I think his job early is going to be to score, and I think he's going to do that at a very high level. Shelton Henderson, not your typical freshman, as Malik Renew and Trey Donaldson both really talked about there. And Timote Malovic, I mentioned him here, coming from overseas, high expectations for him, need him to be a shooter, a guy who stretches the floor for this team. And essentially, look, you're going to start with Malik Renew and Uday, as that's going to be your 4 and your 5. But as the rotations come in and you get an Uday or Renew off the floor and you space it out a little bit, you have to think that Malovic is going to be a key to what you do there.
Yes, sir. No, I'm excited to see him. Excited to see everything with Canes Hoops. I saw a lot of Canes Hoops memorabilia here where I'm at, which is Duffy's Tavern. You see the chandelier with the liquor bottles in the background. So there you go. Iconic. And I got my man, Jose Toledo. Toledo, how do you say it? Toledo. Let's get me work on my accent here. I'm using my non-regional dialect here on the show. We got my guy right here from Belen Jesuit.
How you doing, guys?
So, Jose, a lot of people know Duffy's, right? They may have heard the new ownership and the fact that, there's a new group involved. Are they going to expect to see, all this stuff get taken down? The menu's going to be serving like a bunch of salads and crepes, or what's going on?
None of that shenanigans. We're gonna keep this what Duffy's been for the last 60 some odd years. Wayne the Pain took over what Duffy's did, and my job is to take over what Wayne the Pain did and keep Duffy's alive. We're gonna keep the spirit. We're gonna make sure that this is UM's bar. And stuff. So you guys come down, you should have the same experience. I will tell you one thing, there will be tweaks, and we're going to want to hear them. We're going to want to hear what you guys want to see, but that burger is going to be the same. Those wings are going to be the same. And that beer is going to be the coldest beer in Coral Gables, West Miami, Dade County you can find.
Look at that. What a promo there by my man, Jose, man. That we had a member of the national championship team from 1983 here yesterday. I mean, this is like the spot, man. People just roll in here. You go to the wall, you see pictures of, like I said, Steve Walsh, Craig Erickson, Nick Westsand, classic. Yeah, man. This is the spot, man. It's right there. There's a lot of new stuff around. This is like true Miami right here, right there next to Nicholas Children's Hospital on 57th. So this is the real deal here. Can we do more shows here? Are we
yeah, man. I do want to shout out to Daniel. Thank you very much for stopping by this morning. We do want to see if it could be your home, man. You know, there's many stories on these walls that we can talk for hours on some of these pictures that are here. I just heard a story yesterday about something called a Duffy's Wave, and it's when the Canes go to their football game, they drive their buses down, and everybody would walk out the bar and wave. We got to bring that back, man. We got to bring that back. We got to show that all UM fans it is Dade County, and everybody down here, we support the Canes immensely. So hopefully Duffy's will be a part of the next national championships in many, many different sports.
That's right, baby. Get the parade down here. Jose, man, appreciate you. Over 1,100 on right now. Got Pete there. Pete's at Duffy's.
I'm fired
regular.
up, man. I'm fired up. I'm ready to go grab a cold pint now, man. Golly.
Pete, what's your order when you come out here? Because I know you live right down the street, so you're here all the time.
The burger, obviously, but I'll put you on game right now. The kielbasa. The kielbasa sausage. Oh my gosh, the kielbasa sausage with the sauerkraut.
With the sauerkraut. There we go. I know that thought was always my thing.
And the special spicy mustard that they have in a little container. You gotta put it on with a spoon.
Oh, special spicy mustard.
Yeah.
There we go. The special spicy mustard getting some love here on the show. But yeah, man, fired up to be here. It looks great, man. Look at that channel.
Oh, the buffalo bites. The buffalo bites are delicious too.
Yeah, dude. There's a lot here. At Duffy's. This is, like you said, the history on the walls, you feel it. Some other folks I want to shout out because it is Friday, which means wait, hold on. Look what English said. Pete said golly. I haven't heard that.
It's one of my favorite phrases, man. Golly.
Well, Pete's half gringo, man. So he's got his bag of those phrases. I got them too. My dad grew up in Oregon, so like I grew up saying more like old white phrases than I do Cuban phrases, just because of my dad growing up in Oregon. He's got like a whole. He'll always say, "We're in high cotton right now. We're in high cotton." That's my favorite white guy phrase. We're in high cotton. But anyways, let's talk about the Miami Hurricane team store, man. Not tomorrow. First of all, the hats. Everything 20% off, promo code INSIGHT20. You already know all those deals. But tomorrow, 1 to 2 p.m., huge event at the Miami Hurricane team store. Got Bobby Pruitt in the house. You got David Blay, as I pull this up now, in the house. JoJo Trader, Markeith Williams. It is a whole host of players at the team store tomorrow, 1 to 2 p.m. Saturday, there's a right across the street from the University of Miami. They'll be signing autographs, taking pictures. You meet up with these players. It is a unique experience. Bring your kids. It's an intimate atmosphere. It's not like a huge crowded convention center. This is if you want to ever have your kids or yourself just meet players, this is the one to do it right there at the team store tomorrow, 1 to 2 p.m. at the Hurricane team store across the street from the University of Miami. Promo code INSIGHT20.